Ads before videos has sucked a lot of the fun out of Rick rolling. The first parents to let their kids cook in front of Gordon Ramsay, before any of us knew that he is actually really nice and patient with young chefs, must have really hated their kid. In Despicable Me, the entrance to the villain bank is in the middle of 3 urinals, which makes sense because no sane person would use the middle urinal to avoid being right next to someone while peeing. Plus only a villain would use the middle urinal to create the chaos anyway. One of the great things about cooking your own food, is the sweet certainty that any hair in it is yours. The show Who Wants to Be a Millionaire becomes less impressive every year with inflation. The main difference between post-apocalypse and dystopian cyberpunk is whether or not electricity and plumbing still works. The costumes and haircuts are the same. The first sign that your computer is turned on is the monitor changing from black to black. Near a pond is the only place you can yell duck. And no one would physically duck. Cooking shows make cooking seem really fun, because they don't air having to do the dishes afterwards. You know you really hate a game when you still hate it when you're winning. It's kind of strange that our only response to humor is to convulse and make noise. Our response to sadness is to leak water and wail. Roses are red, roses are blue, depending on their velocity relative to you. Catching a dropped object in midair makes you realize what a geometry genius your brain is. The dreams that hurt the most aren't the nightmares, but the beautiful ones you have to wake up from. When you don't understand science, everything looks like a conspiracy. The movie Cars missed a major opportunity by not having the main character have a bad dream about monster trucks. If you order a DiGiorno on Instacart, it actually is both delivery and DiGiorno. Being a surgeon would suck. It's like being a mechanic but you can't throw screwdrivers and walk away. Most land animals have no idea whales exist. If you draw a picture of space with stars and galaxies, the chances of you drawing an actual place in the universe is very high. The sound of one person cheering at the top of their lungs is terrible, but the sound of a crowd of people cheering at the top of their lungs is awesome. The biggest appeal of having a dishwasher isn't the automatic washing of dishes, it's having extra space to keep your clean dishes out of the way and out of sight until you have the willpower to put them away. Nothing else sounds exactly like digging through a bin of Lego blocks, and you can hear it just by thinking about it. A serial killer's greatest tool isn't a knife or axe, it's trust. Someone will have survived a lifetime of unprotected sex, but died to an unprotected handshake. There are probably hundreds of Wikipedia articles that have only been read by the author. In the 80s, having a poster of someone on your wall showed your parents who you wanked to. Take a look at what is directly above you. Chances are, it's white. If there was a terrible tasting potion you had to take every day to extend your life, most people would take it, yet most people still won't eat healthy, which does the same thing. No matter how many times we see it, we are always a little surprised whenever we see the moon during the day. Growing up is when you start feeling bad for the employee that your mom is yelling at. You're always going to feel old because your only frame of reference is being younger. Mulan killed way more people with snow than Elsa could ever dream of. We probably all still have a girlfriend/boyfriend from when we were 4 years old, that we never broke up with and are still technically in a relationship. It's kind of weird that we depict the Middle Ages and back in color, yet the late 1800s and early 1900s in black and white. Nothing makes you feel more superior than driving by your own house on a field trip. Viewing cringe content is the visual version of eating a lemon. You never see black gnomes. The mobile phone is the real-world mirror of Arist. We spend hours staring at it, seeing whatever we want, and ignoring what's real around us. The Queen probably never owned a vibrator because of lack of privacy. Every jigsaw puzzle has an easy level and an extremely hard level, depending on which side of the puzzle you chose to use. If a human was immortal, there's no limit to how fat they could get. Earth is the biggest thing any of us have ever touched, and we've all touched it. Welcome mats leave people susceptible to vampire attacks. One of the most evil things you could do to students on an exam, is make all the true or false questions be true, and watch them second guess themselves. Somewhere out there is an actor whose only movie credit is Cats. If Spider-Man was real, there would probably be hundreds if not thousands of online forums dedicated to finding out who he is using pictures and sightings. We get mad when someone spoils the ending of a movie, but we watch porn knowing how it will end. A simp and a gold digger is a match made in heaven. The next shortages will be lube and batteries, but nobody is going to be posting about it. Turns out corporations are living paycheck to paycheck just like everyone else. If cotton candy paper cones were bone-shaped, it would look like people were eating anime-style shanks of meat. No one's favorite number is a negative number. RIP is used ironically so often that it seems disrespectful when it's used in a serious context. TV commercials could be postponed until we can actually go buy the stuff. People are realizing how shitty their countries, cities, neighborhoods, and neighbors truly are, and there's gonna be a whole lotta of people moving elsewhere after the situation calms down. Germaphobes are equally split between their absolute worst nightmare and an overwhelming sense of validation. You can tell a lot about a potential apartment by counting the number of windows in the building covered with bed sheets. Chances are, you remember the taste of the popsicle stick more than the popsicle itself. Someone cracking their knuckles or neck makes them look intimidating, but cracking basically any other joint makes them look weak and vulnerable. A microbiologist is a large number of cells studying a small number of cells. The contents of your fridge are literally your future body. Staying indoors, relying on others to bring food to us, and only going outside for a walk or two, we are seeing firsthand how our pets live. There are people your age who have already passed their middle age. By writing the Harry Potter series, J.K. Rowling has broken the international statute of wizarding secrecy. In a world where genies were more common, there would probably be a whole branch of law dedicated to proofreading wishes before they were submitted, to avoid monkey's paw-type consequences. Considering that they can't see themselves in mirrors, vampires stay incredibly well groomed. A pregnancy scare is a near-life experience. Getting a paper cut is way less common than it used to be. It's totally fine to play video games by yourself, but solo board games make you seem like a loser/loner. Superheroes flying with their arms out front must doing it to cool their sweating armpits, after changing into costumes very fast. As nations close down, we are getting massive amount of footage of empty streets to use in the future. Thinking in sign language must be strange. The sun won't ever see a shadow. Soup is the most devastating meal to drop on the floor. It makes the most mess and is impossible to recover and eat. We give our pets different flavored foods, but not different flavored drinks. Casting John Cena in the titular role of the Invisible Man would have saved money on CGI. Eating spicy food seems to be the natural way of cleaning the nose and the eyes. Aladdin was into parkour way before it was popular. The guy who invented the eraser just kept rubbing random items on paper until it worked. Anyone who thinks that customer service is easy, is almost certainly a huge part of the reason it's actually incredibly difficult. If you have a younger brother/sister, your parents had sex without you noticing. People who question cartoon logic really aren't thinking logically. Mother Earth has basically told the planet to go to our rooms and think about what we've done. When you eat at a restaurant as a kid and you mind your own business and behave, you're considered a good boy, but when you do that same thing as an adult, you're just considered a person who wants to eat their food and leave. Milk is not naturally cold. Holding in a sneeze in crowded places is the new holding in a fart. Whoever came up with the word scarecrow wasn't at all inventive. If you've worked at a hardware store long enough, you've probably unknowingly given someone helpful advice on how to commit/get away with a crime. If you practice anything, you also practice the art of practicing. You've probably killed at least one person due to the butterfly effect. If mind readers exist, would they be able to know our thoughts in different languages? The genealogy websites of the future will link customers to their ancestors' social media accounts. You can draw curved lines better than you can draw straight ones. If you wore a mask while making masks, you'd be a mask mask maker. It's never your successful friends posting inspiration quotes on Instagram. The entire ocean is technically really weak gravy if there is even a single gravy granule in it. I'm really tired of living through the busy part of the history book. It's lucky that King Kong didn't have to pinch a loaf at the top of the Empire State Building. The whale-sized turd would have killed a lot of people standing below.